Welcome to the Couchboard podcast, where we naively discuss anything and everything for your listening pleasure. Today we discuss TV shows and stuff. I'm Colby, and as always, I'm joined by Max and Jordan. How you doing, guys?
Oh, doing great.
So good. Had such a good week this last week.
You sure?
Am I detecting some
No,
sarcasm?
I did. I had a good week. I baked my first sourdough. I can't even talk. Sourdough loaf of bread, which is just the pinnacle of baking. What's the word I'm looking for?
Great.
It's difficult. It's not easy. It was like a 30-hour adventure, and it far exceeded my wildest expectations as far as what I was expecting to come out of that thing. So I could not be happier with that.
Wow.
So I'm feeling very fulfilled.
Wow. Next stop, bagels.
Vegas?
No, bagels.
No, more like San Francisco. That's like the capital of
Bagels.
sourdough. I'm going to go show them how it's done.
Bagels. He
Oh,
said bagels.
I thought you said Vegas.
Aren't they difficult to make?
No, I don't think so. It's like, you have to boil them. It's like making pretzels, which I made as something I made for my daughter this week. I did a lot of baking this weekend. I made pretzel bread and wrapped hot dogs with that pretzel bread and baked them. So my 2-year-old, she loved that.
Oh my.
I baked sourdough. I made homemade pasta. I made sourdough pizza. And then I made brownies. So I did a lot of baking, a lot of carbs over here.
Wow.
I did not run a marathon. I
made a copycat Chick-fil-A sauce.
Ooh.
And
How was
the
that?
extent of what I cooked this week. It was good.
Yeah.
It tasted
I don't know
a
if
lot
I
like it.
ever get Chick-fil-A sauce. What is it like?
It's kind of like tangy honey mustard.
Yeah, like a
essentially
sweet
is
mayo
all
mustard.
it is.
I should get it then. I always do just like barbecue sauce.
That's probably my
Yeah.
second favorite to Polynesian. Polynesian's probably the best.
I actually don't love the
Polynesian's
Polynesian
pretty good.
sauce. I don't know. I don't know if it's like kind of sweet, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a little sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So is Chick-fil-A sauce is a little bit sweet.
Did you make some sandwiches too?
No, it was just dinosaur chicken nuggets from
That's
the
a good
freezer
week.
Those are a
section.
favorite.
Those dinosaur chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Those things better never go away.
I know, right?
I suggest you try to make their chicken sandwich. It's pretty good. You have to have pickle juice, and that is what makes it taste like a Chick-fil-A sandwich. You kind of marinate it, you brine it.
Interesting.
It's been a while since I made it, but it's like a marinade in pickle juice.
Marinate the chicken in pickle juice?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get like some extra salt
Well,
in it or something?
Take a bite of your next sandwich, and right
Tell
away
me
you will taste those pickles. Even if you don't have pickles on your sandwich, you'll taste the pickles. Yeah. Yeah. That's what they do.
Huh.
Can you figure out how Popeyes makes their chicken?
Oh, I wish. I don't know. Just make good chicken and then just slap some huge pickles on it.
Yeah.
I would love to make like Chick-fil-A chicken, but like I just never really feel like frying stuff because it seems like such an effort of like having to bread it and all that stuff. Like it just seems like you're gonna have a mess on your hands.
It is messy. It's like impossible to not make a mess when you do it.
Right.
Get one of those splash screens. Pop that right on there.
Yeah.
One of those mesh screens.
Yeah.
It still makes a mess.
So
And I'd like to say I don't do it because I'm being healthy, but that's not it. It's just the mess. It's just
Sure thing.
it's too.
Pillsbury.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm like, it's not about being healthy. That's just the excuse I'm going to tell myself for why I don't want to fry something.
I just buy my fried chicken most of the time. Anyway, I bought a video game this last
you buy?
week. It's like the first one I've bought in a long time. The Outer Worlds for the Nintendo Switch. Been playing that.
I have that
It's pretty
for
fun.
my PS4, and I played like 2 hours, and then haven't played it since.
Yeah.
Let me know if I should get back into it.
I think it's fun. I like those. I mean, it's like a semi-open world RPG style shooter. So
It felt very
I'm into
similar to
those.
Fallout.
Yeah, which I've actually never played Fallout. So but I do see the similarities. I've seen a lot of Fallout stuff, and it looks very similar. So, but yeah, I really like it. It's pretty fun. Good, good.
I need to try that
RPG
again.
shooter.
Yeah, I should check that out.
Has a fun Old West feel to it in space.
Yeah, but like futuristic. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
definitely the vibe I got from it. Speaking of video games, big week this last week. The PlayStation 5 was announced. And I thought it was a pretty good showing. I mean, I wasn't really watching it intently, but I think it's as close as we're going to get to E3 from Sony. A couple really big games were announced. They had apparently the news afterwards is that it's not like a true sequel, but they had that Spider-Man exclusive for PlayStation 4 that came out. I think that was last year or maybe it was the year before that it came out. Great game, but the sequel or the spinoff is going to be focused on Miles Morales, who was actually in the original game. So that'd be cool to play as a different Spider-Man. They also announced have you guys ever heard of Ratchet and Clank? I've never actually played a Ratchet and Clank game.
I've
before.
heard of it. I've never played it though.
Did you see the footage for that new Ratchet and Clank game, Jordan, in the reveal?
It was interesting.
I thought that was... I don't really have a huge interest in it, but I thought that was pretty creative and like some interesting...
Well, yeah. I don't know how the game will actually function. I mean, are you constantly jumping through portals to different universes? I don't know. But what the trailer showed looked interesting. I mean, it seems like there's a variety of environments you can play in, and each one has very different things you can react to and play off of. And I think that, it should probably be pretty fun. Ratchet & Clank has been around since the first PlayStation.
I think PlayStation 2 is when it made its first big splash. But yeah, and then it was really popular back in the day. I never really got into it. But then it seems like it kind of fizzled out. But that game looked interesting, and for those of our listeners that haven't seen what we're talking about, I don't even know how to describe what it was, but basically they were like running around and then like changing like the environment by like hopping to like a different dimension. So that's again supposedly like something cool that you can do with next generation technology, is that you can just boom change the environment that you're playing in like on the spot without needing to load. That could be interesting.
Yeah. I have to see what it holds. What are the cool looking games?
They announced Resident Evil 8, which I've played a couple Resident Evil games. I didn't play the last one, which I think people liked the last one because it got back to more of its like horror, scary roots. I more played Resident Evil when it was more of like a kind of more of like an action shooting with like a touch of horror.
Yeah.
But some people are excited about that. They announced... Go ahead.
The much-awaited Grand Theft Auto 5.
I know. Well, didn't Grand Theft Auto 5 originally come out on Xbox 360 and PS3? And like,
I think so.
Now it's... And then they re-released it on PS4 and Xbox One, and now it's coming out again. I'm just like, man, talk about a game that you are just... But I guess they're giving... I think they're giving that out for free for PlayStation... Plus subscribers.
Well, that's nice considering everybody already has a copy of it.
I actually don't have a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, I mean,
I never played it.
It's been around for so long. It's been on sale for like as low as $5. It's very available. It is weird.
It's like Skyrim came out for like
Skyrim
everything.
Is a great
everything at
example of
once.
that. There was another game. Did you see that other game they announced? It's made by the same guys and girls that made Dishonored. But it was like a first person game where there's like a bunch of assassins.
In the city.
And there's like a time loop going on. That looks creative. That looked really interesting to me. I don't really know what that game is.
I thought that looked interesting, but the time loop was kind of just like every other video game. I thought it's like you die and you start over. That's just like video games.
I guess by now there's like an explanation behind it.
Yeah, I guess now they've put a story element to
right.
that, I guess.
That's a good point. I thought that looked cool. But what I was most excited about was one of my favorite PlayStation 4 exclusives was Horizon Zero Dawn, and they announced the sequel to that game, which is exciting to see. It's a really, really good game. I think it'll be a great franchise. But what did we think of the design of the PlayStation 5? Because it certainly wasn't a safe design that Sony went with on that thing.
It was... I heard it explained that it's a bit of a breath of fresh air, even though it's very off the wall look. Like it's nice to have something different than your traditional boxes, black and plastic, boxes.
And kind of like spiky too, or I don't know, like it's got like some really sharp edges, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it looked kind of cool, but I don't really care. Like it sits in a cabinet and no one really ever sees it unless you messing with it.
I don't really care either. Although I think I would probably rather just like go for boring than like, because I don't want like people coming over to my house and mocking me too much for having some really nerdy looking device in my entertainment system that doesn't really blend in, and that thing does not blend in. But I mean, I'm gonna buy it no matter what. So
yeah.
Oh well.
What I really it was before this whole announcement thing they did where they did the demo for the PS5, right? Or am I thinking of the wrong thing with the girl running through like the ancient city, like the tech demo for the graphics and stuff?
I don't know if they've done a tech demo for the PS5. Maybe I'm wrong. What are you talking about?
I'm gonna look it up.
Of what city?
It's not a real game, but it's a girl running through a lost stone city.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, that was the part that I thought was cool. It came out a while ago. Yeah. Oh no. PS5. It's the Unreal Engine 5 tech demo. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But they labeled it the PS5 Unreal Engine 5 tech demo. It's pretty cool. Look it up. The graphics are pretty amazing. So if they make games that look like that, that would be awesome. But like looking at some of the games that they announced, I didn't think that any of them looked like they used the graphics capabilities to the extent that the demo showed.
Never. I think that's so. Well, and I think the problem that we have anytime we make a jump from one console generation to the next is, and it makes total business sense, that these game developers don't want to invest a lot of time and energy in building a new game, but only like there's actually not a lot of people that go out and buy consoles at launch, and it takes years for that to pick up, and so they kind of straddle both generations for a while, and it's not until really you get to like the mid end of the cycle where everything starts really taking off, and they've really learned how to use these new consoles and their technology. Well, I mean, right now, there's some pretty awesome looking PS4 and Xbox One games that have been coming out that are just vastly superior to where we were 7 years ago or whenever they launched. But yeah, it's exciting.
Well,
we'll see what happens.
Check out the tech demo when you can. It's pretty cool.
Well, last question before we leave PS5. The big news is, and I was actually kind of that half the reason why I listened in on it is because I wanted to be ready to pounce and pre-order in case they were going to launch that soon thereafter. That's kind of what happened with the Nintendo Switch, and I was lucky enough to get on the train quickly, but that thing was hard to grab at launch. But they did not talk about pricing for the PlayStation 5. So what do you guys think it's going to cost? And for reference, the PlayStation 4 launched at $400. The Xbox One had a terrible launch at $500 and made you buy a Kinect, which no one uses anymore. So how much do you think this one launches at?
They'll probably have differences between the disc version and the discless.
Yeah, and then we haven't talked about that, disc versus discless.
They'll probably want to push more discless, so that'll probably be $400, and with disc maybe $450, maybe $500. I don't see it being $100.
I'm thinking $450 or $500, like $50 above what you.
I could see that. $500. $500 is just a lot, but maybe that's just the world we're living in now, where if you want those kind of graphics, you're gonna have to pay for that advancement in the abilities of your console.
Yep.
There's no other way to pay for it.
Yep.
True that. All right. Shall we jump into it?
Let's do it.
Okay. Today we are discussing TV shows and stuff. Since we've done movies, music, video games, basically all the other mediums, except for books that we like to consume, we might as well do this one, get it out of the way. So, speaking about TV, the first thing I thought of was like just thinking about all the shows that I like or have liked through time. But before we get into that, how much TV do you guys watch, like versus movies or other other things?
I think it's
Do you watch a lot of shows?
Yeah, I think it's more our go-to because it's so hard to sit down at home and watch a movie. I feel like it's, it's going to be at least 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And after the kids are in bed and stuff, you just don't really feel like staying up for that long to watch a movie. So usually it results in about 2.5 hours of TV shows, basically.
Max?
I feel like I watch probably like a little bit below average TV. Like a lot of people that I work with and just like people I talk with in general, like stay on top of like way more TV shows than I do. I just find that like I have a hard time sticking with TV shows like over the long term, like unless I really, really, really like it and really get hooked on it. So yeah, there's like a handful of shows that like I stay on top of, but I think I'm probably a little bit below. I think I probably watch fewer TV shows than most people, but I probably watch more movies than most people.
I think I'm in that same boat. I'll only watch a show if I really like it, like you said.
Right.
And I very rarely find a new show that I really like. And so usually I'll just go back through movies or, once you have kids, you don't get to go to the movies that often anymore. And so there's a whole backlog of movies that I need to see that are all out to stream now that, I have to go through. So yeah, we usually do movies more than TV unless we find a show that we really like and then we just binge through it. But then we kind of go back to our go-to, which is usually movies.
I think during the fall and spring, right, when the cable TV shows are going, then we can get them on Hulu and then we can watch those. And then it's kind of like something we have to look forward to. But normally when it's the summertime or the winter break, when there's no other extra shows, then we kind of find a new show to get into and try to watch it. But if that doesn't work, then we result to movies. So yeah,
I thought that was really fun with The Mandalorian because I haven't had a show that you have to wait every week to see the new one for a long time. So that was kind of annoying because I'm so used to just binging shows, but it was kind of fun to spread it out and have the anticipation of having a new episode every week.
I think they did a really good job with that show. I think it was a good way of debuting it on Disney Plus and debuting just a new version of Star Wars. But yeah, it does give you something to look forward to each week.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go through phases here and just talk about some of our favorite shows and what we liked about them. So starting off, and I have to admit, I'm a little embarrassed that going through all these phases of thinking about all the shows that I love and have loved, the biggest section by far is cartoons and kids shows when I was growing up. There were so many shows that I loved as a kid growing up and not that many that I really like anymore. So
yeah.
Anyway, so when you were a kid growing up, cartoons and kids shows, what were a bunch of your favorites?
Well, what a nostalgic time. I mean, it's funny, when we were coming up, we didn't have these 1,000 channels like kids do today. So you had a couple channels that even had those kids shows, and then they only played those kids shows at certain times, certain hours of the day. Before school, a couple hours, 2-3 hours, and then after, where there was again more kids shows. And then Saturday mornings for a long time. I tried to catch some TV whenever I could, and especially Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and X-Men, Spider-Man, Bobby's World, Power Rangers, VR Troopers. There's a lot that I just really liked and regularly watched as a kid. I don't know. It's just fun. You just memorized the times that they came on, and every day you just try to catch it, and if you didn't, that was it. You missed the episode. It was fun with X-Men, Spider-Man. They continued the story from week to week. So if you missed a week, because you were behind. You had to try and figure out what was going on. So it was fun. Yeah. I really love those Saturday morning cartoons where you're binging those cartoons, and it was nonsense, but it was fun.
Yeah, I remember X-Men. Like, I never consecutively got to catch it the week, so I didn't ever get any of the continuing storylines. But I'd watch it every couple of weeks, and that was one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, X-Men's a great show. I actually didn't have cable growing up as a kid, so I feel like I was deprived of a lot of TV shows. Like, I remember kids like talking about all these different TV shows at school, and I just had to kind of pretend like I actually knew what they were talking about, even though I didn't see a lot of the shows, unfortunately. So it's still a sensitive subject for me, apparently. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was definitely like my favorite show as a kid. Like, I loved Michelangelo. I was Michelangelo for Halloween. That show was awesome. X-Men was probably behind there. And then like I remember like watching like some other like random shows like that, or like kind of like a different genre. But I remember, I don't know if you guys ever saw the show Recess, but I remember really loving the show Recess as a kid, which I haven't seen it in forever, but like I remember a lot of things about Recess, and it like as an adult, like thinking back on like some of the, I don't know if like stereotypes are like the right word, but like kind of like how they like classify like different groups of kids. And
Playground politics.
Yeah, it's just kind of like funny to think about it now. Like, and some of that stuff is just, I don't know. I chuckle about the structure of that show, but I think those are the major ones that I watched as a kid. And I will say, like, I remember I never got into it because, again, I didn't have cable, but I just remember, like, Rugrats was, like, a huge deal when I was in school. Like, everyone loved Rugrats, and I just never got to see it because it was on cable.
Yeah.
Rugrats was all right. I didn't love Rugrats. I didn't hate it. But Ninja Turtles was definitely a super, super fun one for me. I had a bunch of the toys for the Ninja Turtles. That was a big deal. And Donatello was the best one because he was the smartest.
Donatello is so lame. I thought people always liked Raphael, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and then like distant last place is Donatello.
I thought everybody hated Raphael because he was such a downer all the time.
Yeah, it definitely went Michelangelo, then Leonardo, then Donatello, then Raphael. Yeah, for sure. That's the end all be all.
All the bandwagony weirdos like Michelangelo.
Well, that's true. That's not true at all.
Michelangelo's cool.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, my family went, and from time to time we'd have cable, but so then you'd get the Nickelodeon shows, and that's really where Rugrats came in, and the Doug Funny Show, and there's all those cartoons. But then as a family, we would always watch like TGIF shows, which were like Full House and Family Matters and Step by Step. And anyway, those shows that came on Friday night, those are always fun. I don't know why, but we always watched them as a family. And then Nickelodeon had a series of shows on Saturday night, which was Ren and Stimpy and all that, and Are You Afraid of the Dark, and one other. We just watched them.
Was it Salute Your Shorts?
No, there was another one.
No.
Sometimes Alex Mack. Anyway, it was always fun. It was just what we did as a family. We all, even though Ren and Stimpy was not age appropriate for me, but we all got in the room and watched those shows, and it was fun. It was a different time where the family would watch the same show together. But again, that set schedule. Oh, it's Saturday night. Time to turn on the TV.
Yeah, I loved Family Matters. That was a great show. But yeah, some other of my favorites. I'm just gonna list off a bunch that I remember watching and loving. We talked about Ninja Turtles, X-Men, G.I. Joe was awesome. If you haven't seen the YouTube PSA announcements, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, yeah, Thundercats is awesome. He-Man, the original Power Rangers was like the greatest thing in the world when that came out. That was like my sister and I watched that one religiously every week.
I'll never forget going in. I think I was in first grade and like going into school, and I think it was when I'm pretty sure it was when, if I remember correctly, the Red Ranger goes green, then white. Is that?
No, the Green Ranger comes in as a bad guy, then becomes a good Ranger, and then turns white.
Okay.
Come on, Max.
The green. I just remember like that was like a big bombshell that went off like in our first grade classroom. Like the next day, like everyone was talking about the white Power Ranger. Like, whoa, it was so cool.
Yeah.
He had the flute. He would have called his Zord.
Yeah, the dagger flute. That thing was cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then like
Good stuff.
the Disney ones like DuckTales, Rescue Rangers, Tailspin were classics.
Yeah.
Voltron, the old Voltron was awesome. Dexter's Laboratory, Animaniacs. I know you guys watched Animaniacs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did watch Animaniacs. Yeah, I watched a lot of Animaniacs.
Animaniacs was great. And
a good
I watched
one.
a lot of classic Looney Tunes when I was
Same,
growing
so
up.
did I. Looney Tunes. I was just about to say that. Now, all right, now I'm starting to remember. I did watch more TV than I thought I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, I love classic Looney Tunes. I'm sad that they've kind of gone away,
gone
and they've
away.
tried to like bring them back a couple times, and it's just not the same. They just
What's
need to
like your
they just need
favorite-
to air the old ones.
What's like your favorite Looney Tunes? Like, what do you want to call it? Like,
My favorite were when they did like the operas with Bugs Bunny. Those ones were awesome. And then I usually just really liked the ones with Bugs and Daffy competing.
yeah.
I always thought those were funny.
I always liked Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner for whatever reason. Like,
Those were good ones.
Yosemite Sam, the Rooster.
yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot of them.
What's the hunter?
Foghorn Leghorn.
That's the
That's the
rooster.
rooster.
That's
Yeah.
the Rooster.
Yeah.
The hunter was
Elmer Fudd.
Yeah. Elmer
Yeah,
Fudd.
Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, Elmer Fudd.
Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian. I loved Marvin
Tasmanian
the Martian.
Devil.
Tasmanian
Tweety
Devil.
Bird.
Ugh.
Tweety Bird, Sylvester. Yeah.
Space Jam,
Classics. Space Jam.
man.
Yeah.
Space Jam 2 is coming.
I know. I'm excited.
We'll see.
If it doesn't have Bill Murray, I'm not watching it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All
Or
right.
Wayne Knight.
Or Wayne Knight. Yeah, it's got to have Wayne Knight too. Any other honorable mention kids cartoons from growing up?
Oh man, I mean, the more and more you think about it, the more they can't come to you. And there's also the times where you were sick and you stayed home from school. Well, it was mainly when got into daytime TV, and so you didn't really have TV shows on.
Jordan was a connoisseur of soap operas as a kid.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They did have some littler kids shows on that you would watch if you were homesick or something.
Nick Jr. was always going.
Yeah.
So you had Binya Pollywog and
Arthur.
Yep.
Arthur, yeah, I definitely watched Arthur.
Yeah.
What about the Reading Rainbow? It's not a cartoon, but who didn't?
Oh, it was a
watch
great
The
show.
Reading Rainbow. Yeah, I remember watching
Dude, and-
Wishbone.
Do you remember-
Mr. Rogers?
Do you remember all the Nickelodeon game shows? Like Legends of the Hidden Temple was like the coolest thing ever.
I remember that
Right.
show, but I didn't get to watch it but I remember like that being a thing.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a great show. And then what were the other ones like? Double Dare.
Double Dare, and another game show one. The one where if you won, you got to run through Toys R Us with your cart.
Yeah.
Do we need to explain what Toys R Us is for our viewers 10 years from now that are all young and don't know what
Yeah.
that is?
Well,
It was the toy
So
store of
sad.
toy stores.
I'm
I
sure
know.
they've given up on a couple old men rant about the 1990s.
We're too boring
Yeah.
for them.
Bill Nye the Science Guy was an awesome show. Loved
Yes,
that
I
one.
watched a lot of Bill
Yeah.
Nye.
Yeah.
Well, there was another one that I liked even more than that, which I forget the name of it. It wasn't Dexter's Lab. It was Beekman's. Oh, Beekman's Laboratory with the scientist, and he had that like rat that had like this New York
Nope.
accent.
No idea
No?
what you're
No,
talking
remember
about.
that
I didn't. The name sounds familiar, but I do not remember anything about what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. It was hilarious. Beekman's Laboratory, I believe. Look it up.
Dexter's
You'll love it.
Laboratory was also great. All right. Now, being that we have kids, my kids are older than your guys' kids, so you probably don't watch as many kids shows now. But any kids shows nowadays that you guys like to watch with the kids?
That I like to watch with my daughter's 2. She's obsessed with Paw Patrol.
Ooh,
her
that
favorite
one's
show.
that one's rough.
She can name every single puppy.
So can you.
I can. Yeah, I definitely
Let's
can.
hear it.
She's
Let's-
got Yeah, she's obsessed with Paw Patrol. What else does she watch? She watches Daniel Tiger.
Daniel Tiger, we were big into that one for a while.
Yeah.
What's
Wild
what else does
Kratts.
she-
My boys
I don't know what that
love
is.
Wild Kratts. Oof. And it's another PBS show about animals. It's very good. Top notch.
If you've, my kids love Dino Trucks on Netflix. That's a fun one.
Yep.
Dino Trucks.
I've been
is a
trying to
fun
get
one.
my daughter into like watching she just doesn't quite like have the attention span for it, but like I wanted her to. I'm like, I mean, she's only 2. I'm like, hey, how about we can watch like the Clone Wars and see if I can get you to watch that, because like then we're both being entertained here versus just you're being entertained. I even tried showing her. I've never watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I just showed her an episode of that the other day because I saw it was on the top 10 Netflix shows. I was like, oh, maybe she'll watch this, and she did fine through that first episode. So maybe I'll watch that. I don't know.
That is one of the greatest kids shows ever. I'll say that. I've watched that show many times. I watched that before I had kids and loved it, and my son loves it now, and so it's super fun. One of the greatest shows, kids shows, cartoon shows ever, I would say.
One of the best movies ever too. So
That was so disappointing.
the funny thing is, like, I remember being funny story about watching. So Colby and I went and watched that movie on opening night. I had never seen the
At
show
midnight.
before. At midnight. 2 funny memories from watching that movie at midnight. So I had never seen the show before. I watched the movie, like, I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. I was just like, that was fine. Everyone in the audience was, like, visibly upset. And by the time the credits were, like, they felt like a torpedo had just been shot through their entire, like, love for Avatar: The Last Airbender. So that was kind of
He
interesting.
pronounced the names wrong. It's a TV show. We
I
know
still
how they're
remember when
pronounced.
they said his name, and there was like
Yeah.
a murmur that just like echoed throughout the theater. Like, wait, what? Like, why are they? I forget what's his name.
Yeah,
Aang or
it was
Aang?
like very first like 5-10 minutes of the movie, and you're just like, don't like that.
Didn't they change like how they pronounced everyone's names, or was it just?
Oh yeah, literally every name was different. Was pronounced
Yeah,
differently.
that's weird. That's
It
just
was
weird.
the dumbest thing ever.
All right. But my other favorite memory from this is a good story. My other favorite memory of watching that on opening night is I go into the bathroom before the movie starts, and there's like water just like all throughout the bathroom floor, just like covered. So I'm like kind of like tiptoeing in my shoes to get to the urinal. This kid comes into the bathroom. Kid, I should say, he's like a teenager, and he's dressed up as how do you say his name correctly? Ong or Aang?
Aang.
Aang. So he comes and dresses Aang. No shoes. He's just wearing like shorts. No shirt. He's got like the arrows like on his body. But he's got no shoes or no socks, but he needs to go to the bathroom. So this kid starts just like tiptoeing through the water to get to the urinal. And I'm just like, and I remember he gets to the urinal next to me. I was like, dude, you just totally walked through urine. And he's like, it's just water. I'm like, dude, you just walk through urine. Accept it. So fun
Gross.
times.
Well, was he planning on going to a movie theater? It's like the most notoriously dirty floor of anywhere.
I know. What was his plan?
What was
yeah,
what was
that
he
was probably
thinking?
the least of his worries, was stepping on the wet bathroom floor. You still had to venture into
He
gum
doesn't
and
care.
sticky.
He doesn't care
Yeah.
at that point.
Well, one more show that my kids love is Disney's has redone Muppet Babies, and I'll occasionally watch it with them, and it's fascinating at how it's digital animated show, and it's amazing at how detailed like the fur is. Like Fozzie Bear, his fur it's incredible. I can't stop staring at it. And animals there, and his shaggy hair is like flows like in the wind. It looks stupendous. Check it out. You'll notice, and you'll be amazed.
Another show my daughter really likes on Netflix is She-Ra, which is awesome. It's kind of action-y and fantasy-esque. And then the new version of Voltron on Netflix is like probably my next favorite kids show cartoon of all time, because it's really good. My son like loves that one. We've watched it all the way through a couple times because it's a really awesome show. Sci-fi show. There's some good cartoons these days. And then you go back and watch like the old Ninja Turtles cartoon, and you're like, how did I like the animation is so bad.
Yeah, it is. But, what are you going to do? But there's a lot of there's a lot of shows out there today, but there's a lot of bad, just dumb shows out there too. And
oh, totally.
of course, my kids acclimate to those, and they're just the worst. And they're just like, "Watch this part, Dad. Watch this part. It's hilarious." And I just can't stand it. I love you, kids, but
so you're the crotchety old dad that's like, "No, this is a stupid show."
Not watching your newfangled TV shows.
And they're like, "Dad's so lame. He just doesn't get it."
Well, then I'm like, on Disney Plus, they do have like the old X-Men cartoon show. And I'm like, well, let's watch this, and we put it on. And, well, maybe we shouldn't watch this, guys.
Yeah, it's fun as they get older. There's some fun shows to watch. All right, now into TV shows in general. We'll just go through your. I kind of divided it up into comedies and non-comedies, mostly because I don't really care that much about non-comedy TV shows. So that's kind of why I divided it up that way. But let's go with non-comedy TV shows. What are some of your favorites that you've watched?
I'm like Stranger Things, I think would be high on a lot of people's lists. That's one that I've enjoyed, and I think they've done a good job of releasing like additional seasons to the show that have lived up to expectations. I am definitely an oddball where actually season 2 of Stranger Things is my favorite season, believe it or not. I really like that season 2, then season 1, and then season 3. So I'm excited to see what happens with season 4. Breaking Bad, I think a lot of people love Breaking Bad, and for good reason. It's a really good show. And then also related to Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. That was like a sequel show that I never wanted. I was a little annoyed when they first announced it, but it's been really good, and I've been super impressed with how they've kind of expanded on the universe without taking away from the original series. So that one's also been one of my favorite non-comedies.
Yeah, everyone says I should watch Breaking Bad. Everyone says it's great, and I just cannot see myself getting into it. Like, I just can't imagine that it would be interesting to me. But I'm sure I'm wrong. I probably just need to try it.
It's good. It's a different show, though. It's a slow burn.
Yeah, it's intense. I really liked it. It was a really good show, but it's an intense show about making and creating and trafficking drugs. So, let's see. I'm trying to think of shows, non-comedy shows that I've gotten into recently. I feel like there's very few that like, yeah, there's Tiger King, but there's very few that I really feel like I get excited to go and watch. One that I should probably be embarrassed about but I'm not, is Outlander.
Just kidding. Keep going.
I know a lot of people watch that show. I have no idea what it is and what it's about.
We started watching it, and it was a little too soap opera-y.
It is. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. But it's fun. For a while they said that they were going to end it at the 5th season, and it was devastating. But now they're coming out with a 6th, so it's really good. It's about this woman that accidentally goes back 200 years into the past, and she has to live and figure out her life and in the 1700s. It's pretty wild, but it's fun. It's great. I can't think of any others off the top of my head.
I just started flipping through a list, and another show recently that I saw on Netflix that's more of like a documentary was Cheer, which was actually really, really good. I don't know if I have no connection to the sport of cheerleading. I had no respect for the sport of cheerleading, but I definitely walked away with like a lot of respect for, I guess, the people that do that at a high competitive level. I thought that was really, really well done show. So
interesting.
And I think part of it was luck. I don't want to say. It's an amazing story, but just some crazy stuff happens at the end of that season that you can't. It's a documentary. Like you can't script that stuff, and it happened. It unfolded in a bizarre way. So Cheers, another good show.
Yeah. Ones I think of, Stranger Things. I really love Stranger Things. The Mandalorian recently has been good. The new Jack Ryan series with John Krasinski I really liked. But again, I'm not head over heels for.
Actually.
Oh really? I'm not head over heels about any of these shows really, except maybe Stranger Things and Mandalorian are the top ones up there. But like, I don't know. Jack Ryan was good. It's just like the one thing I can think of that I've watched recently that I liked that wasn't a comedy. I don't know. I thought it was good enough. It was good enough.
Yeah, it definitely was. I don't want my words to be misinterpreted. I didn't think it was bad. And I'll probably watch a third season of it. It's just kind of like a cliche, what you would expect from like a spy type of.
And I did think, especially in season 2, they got a little away from Jack Ryan's actual character and started doing things with him that weren't very 100%. Jack Ryan. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Which they just assume we need to be entertained and have more just craziness. But yeah. And Mandalorian, that was a good show. I need to rewatch Mandalorian to really determine how I feel about it, because there's a lot of things I like about it. Some stuff I feel like I remember there was a few episodes that really felt like filler that just don't really do anything, and it's a short season, and that's just kind of what's surprising about it to me. I think it was only 8 episodes long, and so I need to rewatch it. But I remember enjoying it, and it felt like, at least as far as like the environment and like the set design and like the characters, it felt like one of the most Star Wars things I had ever seen since the original movies. I don't know if I'm making sense in what I'm trying to describe here, but that was something I really liked about it.
I agree. It had the same feel as the original Star Wars films, which I think is what drew a lot of people in, even for some of those filler episodes, or when an effect wasn't quite as like good as far as like a movie standard would be. You kind of forgave it because it felt like the original trilogy. Yep. Last thing I think of is my wife and I got into very specific seasons of Doctor Who. Some of them are, in my opinion, unwatchable. But the seasons with Rose Tyler and the seasons with Amy Pond were pretty good. So,
yeah, it's a big show, and so I never know where I should start or jump in, because it spans decades of episodes. So I don't know if I should just jump in now, or if I would be lost and not really care and get into it, or do I have to go to the beginning and catch up? So I just haven't tried.
Yeah, each season is like kind of each companion, I guess, is kind of standalone, or each Doctor. But if you start in season 5 of the newer iteration of the show with Karen Gillan as Amy Pond, those are the seasons that we liked the most. And I think she's only in it for 2 seasons or something. Where Matt Smith, I think it's when Matt Smith first became the Doctor, was where we started.
Another interesting one that I thought of was The Americans. I thought that was very compelling. It's about Russian spies embedded in America, living here during the Cold War, and they perform operations for the Russians. And I've heard that some of the writers, or they consulted with people that were actually those spies for the Russians. So it's pretty authentic feeling, and it's very interesting.
That's cool.
The other show that I thought was fascinating that was not a comedy was The Man on the High Castle. It was really cool the way that it gives you a different point of view as far as what could have happened if the Americans lost, or really if the Nazis had won the Second World War.
I watched the first season of that one, and I loved the premise and like the setup and the different world, but then it just moved a little too slow to carry me through to another season. But it looked really good, the production value was really good, and I feel like the premise was awesome.
I should give it a shot. I've heard people say good things about that show. I've just not gotten into. I think I watched maybe the pilot, and I should give it a shot.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how the Reich would progress and grow and replace traditional American culture with Nazi culture, and the show is not shy about it, because you wouldn't think the Nazis would be shy about their propaganda in the U.S. if they ever got here.
Yeah, and it's it's interesting because doesn't like Japan has like control of the Western U.S. and the Nazis have control of the Eastern U.S. and they kind of have a tenuous alliance. So yeah, there's some cool aspects to it. Anyway, all right, 2 more quick topics. This one I think we're going to be fairly similar on, but comedy TV shows, which I think is the purpose of TV, is for comedies. So, what are your favorite shows? Obviously, Seinfeld is going to be the greatest TV show of all time, comedy or non-comedy.
For sure. It's not debatable. It's not negotiable. And I hated growing up with my age group where everyone thought Friends was the greatest sitcom ever, and Friends is just absolute garbage compared to Seinfeld. Sorry to anyone out there. The thing about Friends is...
It's not just our generation. It's this next generation, too, that's getting back into Friends.
Oh, really? Does this next generation like Friends, too?
They do.
Yeah,
I liked Friends when I was younger.
Well, I know it's everywhere. I just didn't know if people actually watched it.
Yeah.
I liked Friends when I was younger, but I hate it. I as I've watched it more, I've grown to like you can guess what the punchline is going to be as you're watching.
Right. That's what I love about Seinfeld is it seems like it takes more risks. It's a bit less predictable, and it's not really what you're hoping for or wanting for. Like, you're just seeing like terrible people and watching them kind of stumble through life in like the worst way possible.
Yeah, I love that they went completely to these people literally have no redeeming qualities.
Right.
This show is literally just comedy. There will be no drama to it. It's just comedy.
And I love the fact that there's no drama to it. And I think that's...
Yep.
Kudos to them for sticking to their guns. You know, they made 9 seasons of that show. They ended on a really high note. I thought they were still putting out some of their best episodes. But the other thing about Seinfeld is all 4 of those characters, Jerry, Elaine, Kramer, George, they're all great characters. Like, they're all funny. I love
and unique.
They're just great. I look at Friends. There's lots of characters in that show that either I find obnoxious or they're not actually funny. Like Ross, I can't stand Ross. I don't really like Phoebe.
Yeah, Phoebe was annoying.
Like, I don't really love... Jennifer Aniston's character is kind of just forgettable. Like, there's nothing... I don't really know what that character is. Like, she's not really funny. I don't know. So
she was there to be the hot one.
Yeah. You're left with
Joey.
You're left with
and Joey,
Chandler, and Monica, which they're fine, but still has got nothing on Seinfeld. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. We said in our series intro that we're a bunch of grouchy old men sitting out on our virtual porch complaining about things. This is me complaining. Seinfeld's definitely number 1. Office would probably be my number 2.
Same.
I think a lot. I think that's one that show's universally loved, even though it definitely stumbles a bit towards the later seasons. I'd say seasons 6 through 9 probably aren't the best. Although I thought 9 did get a little bit better, but certainly not at the same level it was when Michael Scott was on the show. But great show. The one, and The Office is a bit different from Seinfeld because it definitely ventures more into drama, which some of it's successful. I mean, I think everyone loves watching Jim and Pam fall in love, but some of the other drama that the show came up with is just not really my cup of tea. Another sitcom that I really liked was How I Met Your Mother, until the last season. The last season was terrible. The ending was terrible.
Never saw it.
Yeah.
Me either.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Jordan, what do you got?
So, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I feel like it's always a really close rival to Seinfeld, and just how it's structured and how you can't predict it. And it's very funny.
Yeah, I've only watched a little bit of it, but again, they leaned into the
Terrible
comedy,
people.
drama. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be just about the comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. They'll put drama in there just to make fun of it and to get a joke out
exactly.
of it. Yeah. I love the show. Curb Your Enthusiasm is probably another great follow-up to Seinfeld.
I've not really gotten into that show, but I should.
It's obviously different, but it's very similar in structure.
Similar. Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched the first 2 seasons or 3 seasons, And it's funny. It's almost cringy though. Like,
Yeah.
like I sometimes get uncomfortable watching it because I'm like, this is just an awful situation.
Larry David just has such a funny way about him.
So something I find interesting about Curb Your Enthusiasm, obviously Larry David, and this ties back to Seinfeld. Like they have like that similar like episode structure where like different like plot lines will be going on like throughout the episode, but then they all like find a way to like converge together at the very end of the episode in just kind of like a weird, hilarious way. Which I am just blown away by people that are that creative and can like write, you know, little comedic episodes with that work like that. It just seems easier said than done.
Yeah. No, for sure. And even if you know to expect it, sometimes it still just catches you off guard. It's just and it makes it that much funnier. So it's a great show. The Marvelous Miss Maisel is probably another. Well, it's dramatic, but it's about a comedian, but it's fun. It's very funny, but it's probably more heavy on the drama side.
I've heard good things.
Yeah. What else? Superstore. Another easy
sitcom. I love Superstore.
Classic. Yeah.
Great show.
You can sit down, watch it, laugh hysterically.
I kind of like that one.
Well, what did I hear? I heard that the main actress of the show like is no longer under contract or she's leaving or something like that.
She was supposed to leave after the 5th season, but then they had to film something and it carried over from COVID with the last season and she may be renewing. I'm not sure, but hopefully she's back.
I hope she's back too. I like her character. She's funny. I think she's a great, strong character. And then the guy, I don't know what his name is, Joel in the show, but
Jonah.
Never mind. I don't know anything. But I think they're two great leading characters.
Yep.
The Good Place is another one I've watched a couple seasons of and liked. I thought that was very clever. I'm
like in the minority on that one. I could not get into that show.
Oh, really? I liked it.
And everyone else seems to have liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched like the first season and just kind of let it go. I just didn't get super into it. My wife did, but I just...
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it was slow to get into it, but it was good. One of my other all-time favorites is Arrested Development.
Oh yes,
of course,
it's a great
one. Phenomenal show. Before they made that weird disjointed season with Netflix.
Well, have you seen season 5? I haven't seen season 5.
I've only seen.
They made another season on Netflix that I think was less disjointed, where they I think it seems like they might have had them all together a bit more. Season 4.
Really?
Season 4 was the one really disjointed one where they couldn't get the whole cast together at the same time.
I only watched half of that one, and I haven't watched 5, but the original first 3 are just amazing.
So they remixed season 4, so it's supposed to be a lot better, you know, or at least with the intent to fit with the first 3 seasons instead.
Yeah, great show. Anyway, Seinfeld, unbeatable, the champs.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a great show.
Let's round it off with shows that may be coming out soon, or new seasons of shows that you're looking forward to.
Well, I'll give you a show that has a new season that I'm not looking forward to. We started watching Homecoming on Amazon, and I think it's terrible. I can't stand it. It's so slow.
The first season or the second season?
The first season was awesome.
The first season, the second season, I don't like it. I will not watch it. But my wife...
The first season?
It is slow.
I finished the first season. I've never, ever had a show put me to sleep more than this show. Like, I'll usually stay up, especially if I'm into it. And I'm liking it. But the soundtrack is so slow and boring, and they're just such long introductions. They're not official introductions. They're just waiting to get to the story to start, and then there's a long outro where nothing's happening, but you feel like you have to watch 5 more minutes.
Right.
I can't take it.
Aren't they like kind of like nodding to Hitchcock or something like that? Like I kind of get that kind of vibe.
That's what it seems like, and that just goes to show why I haven't watched so many Hitchcock movies.
I liked Homecoming season 1. I've heard people say that really unintelligent people don't like it. So
yeah, that's probably. I'm just kidding.
Well, then I'm an uncultured swine.
I'm kidding.
I'm in the middle of the road on it. I just saw that they have the second season out, and I was like, oh, should I watch this? And I was like, Julia Roberts isn't in it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
And
I only
don't know
watched
if
it because she was in it.
the first season enough where I want to keep exploring.
Don't do it.
I thought it was interesting, and I agree with you, Jordan. It is slow, but the episodes are so short that I think it was a bit more bearable.
That was the only redeeming quality, that the terrible episodes got over faster rather than linger on for an hour. I don't know. The story, sure, it's interesting, it's fun, but how many episodes are there? 8 or 10? I think 10. But it doesn't pick up until like the 9th episode or something. Ugh. I won't be watching this second season.
I'm super, super looking forward to the Lord of the Rings show that Amazon is putting out.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm just like, maybe I'm just being skeptical over here, but I see that as like Amazon trying to like recreate Game of Thrones, but in like the Lord of the Rings universe.
I think they are, and they're doing it actually with a couple shows that they've thrown tons of money at. But from what I've read and seen, it seems like they're trying to do it to the caliber and with the thoughtfulness of the original Lord of the Rings movies, not the Hobbit movies.
Those Hobbit movies are so bad. Some of the worst movies I've ever seen. Okay, that's probably an overstatement.
Yeah.
The last one was really bad. That last Hobbit movie was awful.
Given what we were expecting after the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it was a huge letdown.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're bad movies, but it was just nothing compared to the original trilogy, and the Hobbit is maybe a 250-page book.
I think it's like 300 pages or so. It's decently long. It's a great book too. It's probably one of my favorites of that.
But that's not long compared to the original trilogy.
No, not at all.
So it had no business being three movies worth. So
yeah, it could have been maybe 2 movies if, stretching it and making it more granular than the book actually is. But anyway, this Lord of the Rings show doesn't take place. It takes place in the Second Age of Middle Earth.
Love Second Age.
That's my favorite age. The 8th age, no good. I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying, originally they said it was going to be like a young Aragorn, and I was like,
yeah, that would be
I probably wouldn't even watch. I wouldn't even try to watch if that's what they did. But it's way farther in the past than that, and so I think it
that's kind of what I wish they would do more with like Star Wars. Is like, I don't really care about young Han Solo. Just go to a different part of the galaxy. Like, go to a different time. And just like give me like whole new like Star Wars or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, let's
go way in the past or into the future.
Right.
Well, that is what I liked about The Mandalorian. Yes, you had some influence from the First Republic or whatever. It would have mentions to the other movies, but for the most part, it was just made up of Star Wars elements that we've come to know about.
Yep, that's true.
And it just got into the things that you've always wondered about, like, what are stormtroopers like when they're hanging out by themselves? And they have a quick little snippet of what a stormtrooper conversation might be like. I think that's what Jon Favreau was going for. I think he just wanted to kind of use the elements of the Star Wars universe to make a new story. And I think he nailed it.
Agreed. So looking forward to season 2.
Yeah, me too. Here's my question about Mandalorian. Do you think Jon Favreau knows what Baby Yoda is?
Yeah.
So that, I was just going to say, the word on the street, the rumors, the talk is that Jon Favreau is going to be to Star Wars what Kevin Feige is to Marvel. That's his new role, is he's going to be the mastermind of the Star Wars universe going forward. So I think that he does.
Wasn't Feige supposed to get involved with Star Wars too?
I think he was supposed to, but I think they've moved to Favreau being the guy.
I just wonder, like, as I watch The Mandalorian, I'm like, do these guys even know what Baby Yoda is, or like what his? I wonder. Sometimes I feel like there's a lot of brilliant minds out there that come up with like these brilliant, like J.J. Abrams, I think is notorious for this, where he comes up with like a lot of really interesting characters and like settings and environments and like plot lines, but he doesn't really know where he's gonna take them, and I kind of worry about that with Baby Yoda. It's like, yeah, he's cool, he's cute, he's interesting, but can you give us something that's going to satisfy the curiosity around this character? I hope he does. I kind of got the sense that I don't know if they actually know what they're doing with this thing.
Yeah, and that's a big contention of mine with TV shows is I hate when they're just basically just going for longevity and they're like, we're going to tell this story until it gets uninteresting, and then we'll tell this story until it gets uninteresting, and I hate that, which is why I think Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the greatest cartoon shows of all time, because it's 3 seasons and that was the plan,
Kudos to them.
There was
I'm mad.
There was an outline.
Boom.
And that's it.
End it. Yeah.
Yep.
I should watch that show because, no one does that these days. No one can.
I kind of feel like that's what Breaking Bad had. They had 5 seasons, they had a good story arc, and they didn't continue to push for more and more seasons.
It's probably one of the hardest things to do, because you can just keep pumping it out and people will keep watching it and
until it gets awful, like
right.
The Office, and then you quit on a low note.
Yeah, The Office definitely did not end on a good note, unfortunately.
Yeah. Another series I'm looking forward to is The Wheel of Time coming out. Those books are arduous but good, and I hope the series is good, and for what I see, it's going to be good. I just read a couple articles that said they're going to make a Kingdom Hearts TV show for Disney+.
Yeah, I saw those rumors when maybe they will.
Yeah, who knows?
I love Kingdom Hearts, but I also hate Kingdom Hearts. In fact, I think
I love it more than I hate it, and I would be happy to see a show.
But you haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3 yet, so...
That's true. It's like I like it enough that I want to see it, but I don't care enough where, if they do a bad job, whatever, I don't really care that much.
I just think a lot of the fans of Kingdom Hearts are kind of like me, where they're just... The story is so convoluted and so messy right now that everyone is just kind of like giving up. There's like one guy on IGN... I would listen to a podcast and he like understands it and he can explain it, but just like listening to the guy explain the story is just like nails on a chalkboard, because it's just like, this is ridiculous and so silly. So how will it translate to a TV show? We shall see.
Who knows?
2 that I'm not like super looking forward to, but I'll watch. WandaVision and the Bucky and who's his face?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. I'll watch them, but I'm not like dying for them.
Yeah.
Those are good. And I thought of some good comedies that we forgot. Community and Parks and Rec, definitely up there.
I like Parks and Rec. It was a little more touchy-feely than The Office, which I didn't love, but still a great show, worth a watch. I just finished Community on Netflix, and that show, I really liked 50% of it.
Yeah.
It was very repetitive, and yeah.
That was my experience with Community too. When it's on, and it's hilarious. But then there's other episodes that are just terrible. And then Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I loved the first 2 seasons of that show. Once Rob Lowe showed up and the other guy, I feel like that began my downward trajectory of that show of not really liking it or loving it. Like, I still don't understand how Lisa and that one guy, like, they had like no chemistry, like no relationship. I still don't understand how they got married in that show. And I always like Brandanovitz, the guy who like left after season 2. He was like
Mark Brandanovitz.
Brandanovitz, yeah. He was funny, and I was disappointed they lost him. And then
Best thing about Parks and Rec
character in that show, like, he just drives me nuts.
Oh, I didn't hate him. I didn't mind him. But the best character in the show is definitely Jean-Ralphio Saperstein.
He's a good one.
Like, easily my favorite, maybe one of my favorite TV characters ever.
Tom's good too, and then Andy, he's also...
Tom had too many redeeming qualities. Jean-Ralphio didn't, which is why he was awesome.
Qualities.
Yeah, I can't think of any other upcoming shows.
Just Stranger Things, that's all I'm excited about. I think they're going to do one more season maybe, and call it quits, which I think they'll have to call it quits before those kids get too old. So
Bachelorette will undoubtedly come back.
Well, yeah, and they just announced the next Bachelor, so Bachelor and Bachelorette, we'll see what happens with those.
Yeah, we didn't even really mention reality shows like at all.
Survivor, I still watch Survivor, so
I don't watch any reality shows at all.
Below Deck?
What's Below Deck?
Oh man, you should watch Below Deck, because it talks about crew members of super yachts, and it follows them around as they take care of guests, the charter guests.
That does sound interesting, actually.
It does. It's pretty cool. It's dramatic.
I mean, it'd be fun just to look at really cool, nice boats.
Yeah, but you get some insight into what your next vacation will be like.
Yeah. Bring back Pimp My Ride, and then I'll watch a reality show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for us on the TV show topic this evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Remember to like, subscribe, rate, and review. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at The Couchboard. This has been the Couchboard Podcast. I am Colby. Thank you, Max and Jordan, and we'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.